For nearly 5 centuries, Baghdad was never just a prosperous city along the banks of the Tigris. It was the neural center of the civilized world, a place where the pulse of knowledge echoed across deserts, mountains, and seas. Here, scholars were honored no less than warriors. Books were treated as treasures, and ideas, no matter how bold or controversial, were allowed to exist. Power was not measured by the size of armies or the height of walls, but by humanity's ability to understand the world, by wisdom accumulated across generations. Within libraries lit by oil lamps, humankind sought to decode the heavens, heal the sick, and answer the greatest questions of existence. Baghdad embodied a belief that knowledge could illuminate humanity, that civilization could overcome brutality. But history rarely shows mercy. In the harsh winter of 1258, from the distant east, a force moved silently closer. It carried no books. It sought no dialogue or debate, only the thunder of hooves, cold steel, and a darkness slowly descending upon the world.
Baghdad was the jewel of the Abbasid Caliphate, an empire whose strength lay not in territory, but in the collective intellect of humanity. Here, ancient Greek works were translated and preserved. Mathematics expanded. Medicine was systematized. Astronomy advanced by centuries. At the heart of it all stood the House of Wisdom, a sanctuary where ideas were not burned, but preserved for generations yet unborn. Far to the east, where the steppe stretches endlessly to the horizon, another empire was quietly rising, not through the light of knowledge, but through the relentless motion of war. They built no grand cities. They amassed no libraries. Their power lay not in stone or ink, but in horses, steel, and iron discipline. They conquered with speed, striking faster than news could travel, moving farther than any army before them, and wielding terror as a devastating psychological weapon. Leading this force was Hulagu Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, heir not only to blood, but to a philosophy of conquest forged for domination. He was not a blind barbarian, unaware of civilization's strength. On the contrary, Hulagu understood exactly what he faced, and that understanding made him all the more ruthless. He carried a single order, without compromise, without mercy, to subdue the Islamic world. And among all his targets, Baghdad stood above the rest, the heart that had to be crushed, so the body would collapse.
Steady now, move it forward!
In 1257, the wheels of Mongol war rolled across the Zagros Mountains. Cavalry crossed the passes like a storm, leaving behind destruction that could not be undone. Cities that resisted were not occupied. They were erased, as if they had never existed. Terrifying reports arrived in Baghdad with every wave of refugees. Stories of massacres, of shattered walls, of lands turned into dead wastelands. Yet inside the Abbasid palace, hesitation ruled. Debate replaced action. Decisions were delayed. No one could believe the catastrophe would reach Baghdad. The walls still stood. The city's reputation still echoed across the Islamic world. And above all, the Caliph believed that no conqueror would dare destroy the spiritual heart and supreme symbol of Islam. That belief became the moment of fate, when pride eclipsed reason, when past glory was mistaken for present strength. History does not punish the weakest. It punishes those who believe they cannot fall. January 1258. The circle of destiny closed around Baghdad. From all sides, Mongol armies tightened their grip, cutting off every escape route, every supply line that had sustained the capital for centuries. Baghdad was no longer the center of the world. It became an island, isolated within a sea of enemies. Yet the Mongols did not rush. They understood time itself was a weapon. Trenches were dug day after day. Strategic positions seized. Food supplies dwindled. Fear spread silently through the streets. Then the moment came. Gigantic siege engines rolled forward. Wood and rope strained, echoing like a sentence being pronounced. Massive stones tore through the sky, falling upon Baghdad with the weight of an empire. Walls cracked, towers collapsed, homes were reduced to rubble, and within smoke and fire, the city that once housed humanity's collective knowledge felt fear, true fear, for the first time. February 10th, 1258. The gates of Baghdad opened. The city surrendered, but surrender brought no mercy, no treaty, no promise of safety, only a nightmare that lasted 7 days. Baghdad, once a symbol of civilization, descended into chaos and death. Hundreds of thousands vanished from history, not on battlefields, but in the very streets where they had lived, studied, and prayed. Bustling markets fell silent. Homes stood abandoned. Cries and smoke engulfed a city once lit by knowledge. The Tigris River, Baghdad's lifeline, became a silent witness. Ink from countless manuscripts thrown into its waters, mixed with human blood, darkening the river with loss. The house of wisdom burned. Centuries of ideas, discoveries, and accumulated knowledge did not fade with time. They were erased in mere hours. This was not just the fall of a city. It was the moment an entire civilization was pushed into darkness. Hulagu did not cheer. He did not celebrate. He observed. Baghdad, in his eyes, was not a tragedy, but a message, a warning to the world. Resist the Mongols, and you vanish from history. With Baghdad's fall, the Abbasid dynasty, symbol of power and intellect in the Islamic world, came to an end. A dynasty that endured for centuries, did not fade gradually, but was severed abruptly by violence and fire. With Baghdad, the Islamic Golden Age fractured. No longer was there a center where East and West met through knowledge. No city remained powerful enough to protect and transmit humanity's understanding. The lighthouse guiding science, philosophy, and medicine went dark. History continued forward. New empires would rise. New centers of power would emerge. But humanity's path had changed. Slower, fragmented, and scarred by loss. Not because intelligence vanished. Not because wisdom dried up. But because the foundations of knowledge were destroyed. The bridges between generations burned. And the memory of a civilization erased from the physical world. Baghdad's fall did not merely end an empire. It reminded history that, when knowledge is no longer protected, humanity may lose centuries, just to return to where it once stood. Empires rarely fall because their enemies are stronger. The most dangerous moment comes when an empire believes it stands beyond the laws of decline. Baghdad lacked neither walls, nor reputation, nor a glorious past to lean upon. But the belief that no one would dare attack cost the city its most precious asset: clarity in the face of approaching danger. For centuries, Baghdad was the light of the world, a light of knowledge, open thought, and faith in humanity's ability to understand and shape its future. That light traveled far, guiding science, medicine, and philosophy. But when that light was no longer protected, when complacency replaced vigilance, it became fragile. Baghdad once stood at the pinnacle of civilization, and for that very reason, its fall became one of the bloodiest lessons in human history. No empire is immortal, and no light endures forever. If humanity forgets its responsibility to guard it,